The history of the Air Defense Artillery, from 2000 to 2020. Air Defense Artillery, ADA, is a separate branch of the United States Army that applies anti-aircraft weapons like surface-to-air missiles. It consists of several air defense systems, such as the Patriot missile system, the Avenger air defense system which controls FIM-92 Stinger missile, as well as Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, THAAD. Air Defense Artillery was separated from the U.S. Army in 1968 and established at Fort Bliss. This essay describes the history of the ADA from 2000 to 2020, claiming that after the events of 9/11, it changed its scope and mission. To begin with, the mission and the location of the ADA should be addressed concerning whether they changed during the period between 2000 to 2020. The mission of the ADA is to protect the force and selected geopolitical assets from aerial attack, missile attack, and surveillance. It fulfills its mission by contributing to several defensive operations. For example, the 11th Air Defense Artillery Brigade served in the Persian Gulf War, where the brigade recorded the first incident of a ballistic missile in combat. Moreover, the motto of the branch, "First to Fire," which was adopted in 1986, did not change till the current times. Fort Bliss, which is the current location of the ADA, plays a crucial role in the homeland security of the U.S. It started to accept anti-aircraft weapons in 1940 and continues to the present day. As such, there are no significant changes in the mission and location of the Air Defense Artillery. In 2000, the Air Defense Artillery School experienced a decline in its human resources. This was a result of the decision of the Army Chief of Staff to mend almost all the Army divisions at a total % of authorization, along with the effort to control divisions of the grade and MOS. In the second half of 2001, authorization only reached 57%, suggesting that it was difficult to modernize the whole ADA force. During this time, some units of Fort Bliss lacked personnel as many people left the Army, causing retention problems. As a result, there was a decision to produce an Air and Defense Master Plan. This plan was later used in the concepts of Force XXI and Force 2010. Indeed, this was the effort that showed the ADA the importance of being proactive to be relevant to the U.S. Army. The events of 9/11 left a considerable mark on the work of the Air Defense Artillery. Right after the terroristic attack, the commanding general issued new guidelines to ensure security. Moreover, all air travel was controlled and should be approved by Chief of Staff, Cornwallis B. Hobson. On September 14, the center of the Air Defense Artillery played a crucial role. It deployed the 978th Military Policy Company, which went as one of the first units to the capital city. Moreover, 978th provided security around the damaged Pentagon office through various methods of military control. The company only returned to Fort Bliss in 2002, preventing severe attacks. On October 7, 2001, the operation known as Operation Enduring Freedom was planned to reduce the terrorist base camps in Afghanistan. The operation was supported by the modern aircraft issued by the ADA. This suggests that the ADA is an extremely important branch of the U.S. Army that protects national security. It is seen that after the events of 9/11, the work of the ADA was altered forever, as now their primary enemy was terrorism. In 2002, the Air Defense Artillery Center was said to mobilize, deploy, and redeploy the units of Fort Bliss. Due to this, the ADA required human resources and additional military equipment, thus increasing the resources of the ADA again compared to its condition in the year 2000. In addition, new schools were aiming to educate more soldiers and commanders for the ADA. It is clear that after 2001, the ADA obtained the most attention and resources from the national government, as national security was the priority for the United States during that time. Following that, the Air Defense Artillery further developed and activated its units to mitigate national security. With regard to the national interest, the focus of the Air Defense Artillery was the shift to the Middle East. From this point, most of their work was done and continued to proceed in that region. Additionally, in the spring of 2002, the ADA operated in Southwest Asia that lasted for 6 months. In 2003, there was another operation called Operation Iraqi Freedom that began on March 17. It was aimed to liberate Iraq from Saddam Hussein's influence. Here, the ADA had a significant role in the operation as it controlled the Air Force. In 2004, there was a withdrawal of the Divisional Air Defense Battalions. The ADA Center started to pay more attention to driver training by offering courses. By the end of 2004, there were the largest amount of truck drivers than in any other posts. In 2005, there were the most profound events in the Air Defense Artillery that is called base realignment and closure. It was decided to move the center of the ADA and its school from Fort Bliss to Fort Seol, Oklahoma, to reduce the number of TRADOC installations from 13 to 8. In 2006, they returned to Fort Bliss and further had combat development training. However, in 2010 again moved to Fort Seol but later came back to Fort Bliss. Such movements were due to strategic and educational purposes. Compared to the period between 2001 and 2006, there were no serious changes in the air defense artillery after the year 2007. Until recent times, the ADA has been actively establishing new units of its forces, providing security for the population and the country. Their last operation was again in the Middle East, the Syrian case. In conclusion, the air defense artillery is a critical branch of the U.S. Army that ensures homeland security. Its history is closely related to international security issues, such as the terroristic attacks of 9/11 as well as the Iraq invasion. Moreover, the air defense artillery played a crucial role in reducing the threat from the external enemies of the United States. The ADA, along with its school, continues to provide national security and stabilize the situation in the Middle East region.